A recent NerdWallet survey found nearly half of Americans say credit card debt, well, it's normal. So today we're joined by Sarah Rathner, a credit cards expert at NerdWallet, to talk about all of this. So NerdWallet found that 26% of Americans with revolving credit card debt say they generally only make the minimum payment each month. So let's talk about, why does this make it so much harder to get out of debt?
The thing with minimum payments is it's just a fraction, a very small percentage of what you actually owe. And once you make that payment, you are then allowed to spend up to your credit limit the next month on your card. So you might be paying small percentages of what you totally owe, but charging a whole lot more. And that means that your debt is going to balloon out of control over time.
Okay, but I think there's a lot of people at home who go, okay, but I'm doing what they told me to do, which is make the minimum payment.
Yeah, and making the minimum payment does keep your account in good standing. It allows you to avoid late fees and dings to your credit score. But the downside is that you will get trapped in a very long cycle of debt. It can keep you in debt for years. It can make your original debt balloon to more than double what it originally was. And so that's why it's really important to take a hard look at your debt and a hard look at your budget. If there's any cash you can free up in your budget, even an extra $25 or $50 a month to apply towards your debt, that can make a huge difference over time.
Any indicators? I don't know if we've done any surveys about why so many consumers are kind of stuck on the minimum payment.
Well, we don't have data on that, but it could be that things are just expensive and
Yeah.
people are struggling to make ends meet. We're seeing that with consumers using credit cards more and more for those everyday purchases without necessarily having an idea of whether or not they'd be able to pay their bill at the end of the month. We're seeing people use buy now, pay later plans, not just for major purchases, but even for smaller ones. And that splits one purchase into an installment plan over several weeks. And so we're just seeing lots of signs that people are looking for ways to stretch out the pain of paying for the things they need to buy.
Yeah, my question was going to be, how are we seeing people pay off the debt, but buy now, pay later is very common.
It is very common. It's becoming very popular, especially with younger consumers, Gen Z and millennials. We saw it be very popular during the holiday season last year. 35% of Gen Z plan to use buy now, pay later to buy holiday gifts, for example. But it's important to remember that these plans are still a form of borrowing. And if you miss payments, it can hurt your credit. So you want to go into these plans thoughtfully, understand what you owe and when, and make sure that you have the money on hand to make those payments on time.
Okay, so make more the minimum payment. That's one of the big takeaways. I know you and I have talked before about making payments before your payment due date. Can you talk about why that might be important?
Yeah, you don't have to wait till your payment due date to pay your credit card bill, and you don't have to pay it all at once. You can pay in smaller amounts throughout the month. And that might make it easier for you to afford your payments. You could time it with your paychecks. Another thing you could do is move your payment due date. That's something that many credit card issuers allow. So if there's a date that makes more sense given when your paycheck comes in, call your credit card issuer and see if they'd be willing to move that date.
And when you do like make that payment maybe ahead of time, or you split the one big payment into two payments, you're actually paying less interest, which I think people like the idea that they can cheat the credit card company on a little bit of interest.
Yeah, your interest is charged on based on your average daily balance. So if you actually pay your credit card bill in small bits throughout the month, it lowers that average daily balance, therefore lowering the amount of interest you pay over time. And it can make a difference.
All right, we have just about a minute or so. I know NerdWallet has a whole bunch of resources for people for credit cards and all kinds of financial issues.
Yes, check us out on nerdwallet.com. We have lots of informative articles and also really great comparison tools. So if you are making a financial decision, let us help you.
All right. All right. Well, Sarah, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your expertise. We want folks to know, there is help out there. There is information out there when it comes to credit cards. And so this interview is going to be in the Two Wants to Know section of our website so that folks can take a look at